Fellas, you ever hear women say, I am single by choice? It doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I know. By the end of this video, you'll know the truth behind women who say they're staying single by choice. So
let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, fellas. Why do men think women are single? What do men think is going on nowadays? Right? I'm going to go through this as well as I can, right? It ain't going to be the deepest, but we're going to get an idea of what men think or the types of things that men say and think about women who are choosing to be single. And we're going to hear we're going to hear from a woman. We're going to hear what she has to say about it. I think it's important to hear what women have to say about why they remain single. And by the end of it, you will see that men just are not listening to the things that women are saying. And it's really just like very concerning and disheartening and frustrating. What men want to hear from women, this is what men actually like. This is what men think most women are experiencing.
Single is over. I'm 42, and that means half of my life is over.
I'm not okay being single. I don't want to be single, and I get depressed.
As a person who has been single for me personally my whole life.
I'm 53. I'm tired. I'm tired of doing it myself.
I get my feelings hurt. I don't want to be a hookup.
3 failed relationships since my marriage had ended.
And I have really missed kind of having someone to talk to.
Currently, I don't date, and it's purely for the reason that I am exhausted.
I am done with all of these games. I'm done with men.
Why is it so hard to find your person?
God, am I lonely sometimes.
We started chatting and it took him about 30 seconds to try and get his virtual hands down my virtual pants. Come on, ask me about my kids or my life or my musicals or whatever. Just not that. Not so quickly.
They say they want a relationship and they don't. They just want options.
I am baffled the fact that I'm single. I am the full package. Like,
let's face it, we're over 40. I'm 47 now. Like, I just want to go and enjoy the next 50 years with someone.
Why are
men sit around and make videos like that, right? Like, we all do it. I'm a content creator. I know how it works. You go farm for content, right? And you look for the thing that confirms your bias, right? I get it. It could happen. It could happen to the best of us. So men go around looking for things that will reinforce the things that they already believe. And they find videos of women who are actually sad about being alone, right? Or about not having a significant other, being in a relationship, committed relationship, monogamous relationship, whatever you want to say. They take that and then say, look, ladies, this is what your future looks like. But here's the thing. Women and people are not a monolith. Of course, there are tons of women who are single and they don't want to be single. And when I say they don't want to be single, they can be with a man. This is the thing that the men are missing about these women, right? 2 things. A, if you spoke to these women if you told these women, do you think that this is how most women feel? Even these women would say, no, I don't believe, like most single women, I don't think they wouldn't project this onto other women. I don't think they're speaking from their own experience, right? They would even recognize yeah, I think people get lonely sometimes, but like, I wouldn't think that this is like, a reflection of most women, right? I'm pretty sure most of them would agree to that. But secondly, what is happening here is the women are saying that they wish that they could be in a relationship with the man. We hear that, right? But what you guys are missing, even the men who try to use these women as a cautionary tale to other women, what they are missing is these women are not desperate. These women are not pick-me's because they can have a man. Any of those women can have a man. They know that. I know that. Most other women know that. These women are not in relationships with men because they are choosing not to be in relationships with men. If you listen to what they're saying, they're like, hey, this man I'm talking to him for a day and he's already trying to get into my get his virtual hands into my virtual pants. She could think about it. If she wanted to, she can just let that happen. And then she could be with that man. That man wouldn't object to that. The other women, they can get a man, but it's how much abuse are they willing to put up with? And it's obvious, especially these types of women, like this age group, you know, the ones that have money and they're set up financially or whatever. They're like, I don't need to be with a man. I want a man. Therefore, that man is going to have to meet my needs. If he doesn't meet my needs, I'm not going to be with him. But then these idiot men, you know, try to show these women in a vulnerable state, being vulnerable in front of the world, and try to use them as like cannon fodder in this fucking proverbial gender war or whatever, right? To manipulate other women and be like, look, women, you're going to end up like these sad old cat ladies. It's not true. It's not true. It doesn't make any sense. These women can have a man like that. They could have a man. They don't want a man. They don't want any man, I should say. They want a decent man. They want a decent man. So before you try to use these women to make that example, please understand what these women are actually saying. Like, I don't think you guys thought about it when they made this clip to be like, they hit the wall and all that stuff. They still attract men. They're talking about going out on dates. They're talking about the times that they talk to me. Like, they still attract men. They're just not able to get a quality man, which is that problem is rooted in the idea. Well, that problem is 100% on the shoulders of men. It is our fault that there aren't enough viable candidates out there for these women. But the men who make these types of videos trying to shame these women or laugh at these women or ridicule these women or whatever, or do the I told you so shit. The reason it doesn't work if you listen to what the women are saying. It doesn't work. These women are not desperate. You dropped the ball. You fucked up. You proved the point of the women that they aren't desperate for a man, but they're so disillusioned with men. You're proving the point. And the men who make this are just trying to use this to be like, hey, look, we told you we all shitty out here. You might as well just go on and be with us. We see you sad. Come here, bring it into Papa. That's all they're trying to do.
Women who hit 40 plus, yeah, and are alone, accept it. And they realize that they can't compete with younger women. They're past the best. They had good men and they blew it. You know what I mean? And
same shit. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to do the same thing, trying to triangulate the women. He's trying to scare the younger women by using the 40 plus women as like, look at all these older women, younger women. You guys should settle for us right now. Give us access to you right now, or you're going to end up like these 40 plus women who hit the proverbial wall, right? That's all it is, right?
Fellas, you ever hear women say, I am single by choice? It doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I know. By the end of this video, you'll know the truth behind women who say they're staying single by choice. So, the man she desires doesn't want her. She can't find men who earn enough for the lifestyle she wants while still having to work and pay significant bills. This woman is average at best, and the men she thinks she can get when she steps out with her BBL, lip injections, breast implants, excessively long lashes, Japanese cherry blossom body spray, everyday waist trainer, lace front, double chin, and French manicure only care to increase her body count. Be cautious of women who are self-improving. They will continue to bust it open. Once she's qualified for you, she'll have her preferred sex position, flowers, restaurants, deal breakers, and at least 10,000 followers. So, translation. I'm slutting till Mr. Right comes. See you on the next one.
And then you have the men like that who just make up fan fiction about women and say like women are 304s and they all just want to bust it open until their cooters get loose and now they want to settle down with some other like. So It's wild. Like, so now you have all like these competing ideas about why women aren't messing with men, right? His idea is these women want money and they can't find a man who has enough money that can provide for them. And the other man is like, oh, these women, you know, they're 40 years old and the men don't want them because they're old and nobody wants an old beat up hag of a woman and all this stuff, right? Then you got the videos of them trying to show the women that are like, you know, like pouring their hearts out, being vulnerable, like, hey, I'm sad. You know what I mean? Like, this is tough being single. I do want somebody. I want my person. It's just really frustrating because there aren't any or many viable options out there for me in this particular time and space, right? Now, when you look at all of that, right, as a man, you're listening to other men and you're like, man, these women, man, they just can't choose. It's their fault. They just don't want to settle down. You know, they're being 304s. They want a man with a lot of money or they waited too long. Now they're ugly and they just don't want to they don't want to take the men that are available to them. They want some more attractive, like men are lying to men. Men are lying to men. But let's hear what a woman has to say about this. I'm going to guess that she doesn't agree with the things that these dudes are saying.
There's a lot about the experience that women are having with dating when so many would rather just have a cat. So massive difference between what men think makes dating hard versus what women are actually.
Let's talk about it from the women's perspective here, because I think a lot of women.
Real quick, what men think what makes dating hard is are women's standards. Like that's what makes dating hard for men. It's women's standards, right? And what makes dating hard for women are women's standards. And that's not me blaming women. I'm saying it's women saying that my standard is baseline. You have to be a decent human being and treat me like a human being, right? To sum it up. But most men are fucking like if their standard is right here, men are way the fuck down here, right? That's the problem. That's the issue. It's that men aren't showing up, right? Just to simplify it for everybody, that's what it is. Women have standards and their standards aren't too high. They're not unreasonable, but they're too high for the average man because the average man doesn't meet those standards, right? That doesn't mean she should lower her standards. It just means they're too high for the average man. That's all it is.
Will back me up when I say it's so irritating that these boys will constantly complain that women don't want to date them. And then when we try to tell them nicely why, they just continue to ignore us and complain. Because guess what? 15%, an all-time high of boys surveyed, said they had 0 close friendships and relationships in their life. So if you're not listening to women, listen to each other, because apparently boys don't even really want boys in their lives. Let's talk about it. And I want to give credit to those 2 creators as my first example here. They did an amazing job, and the entire time I was watching their videos, the whole time I was watching their videos, I was just thinking, are they really this attractive right now? Or are they just self-aware and speaking with empathy for the struggles of women? And that right there shows you what women are actually looking for. Interestingly enough, most men reported are single. Most women are not. When you look at the stats from Gen Z, you'll see about 63% of the boys are single reportedly. But only 34% of the women our age are single. And for this poll of millennials and Gen Xers combined, roughly, you'll see that men are still on average more single than the women. And boys' main argument for always being like 90% of the users on dating apps are men. They're not actually. Only 62% of the users on dating apps reportedly are men. That's a pretty decent ratio. So clearly there's not a huge lack of women and men to be partnered together. We have to take into account that there are LGBTQ men and women. So why are the majority of women who date men choosing to be single instead of having to deal with dating? Why has a woman decided that a cat is better than dealing with a boy? Well, ladies, let's talk about it and give them the answers.
After last night, the cats seemed very reasonable. The tree seemed, after what I dealt with last night on my live talking to these men, that last night was an all-time low for the fellas, man. It's so ridiculous how bad they are. Like, you just cannot reason with men at this point. It just doesn't, you cannot reason with men. It's wild.
Here today. Relationship standards have been raised slightly, yes, but not in the way that boys complain about them. We expect boys to have greater skills, but what are these skills? These skills are things like better communication, empathy, understanding. Emotionally available and sharing our values. Sharing our values brings up another great point. More young women now are trending more to the left than before, and men aren't following the pattern quite as heavily as women.
That is the irreconcilable differences that people talk about in divorces, right? I think that men mask to get women. I know they do, but in this case, men mask to get women. So men who are more conservative, and I'm not even talking about a political affiliation necessarily, but just men who are more conservative, right? Meaning men who are more misogynistic, because that's all conservatism is. It's just rooted in misogyny and racism and whatever, all these oppressive systems. So men mask as being like more liberal or more progressive. I like to use the word progressive. Men mask as if they are more progressive, right? They get into relationships with women, and then or maybe they don't even think about it. I'll even give men the chance to say it may not even be a masking thing. Men just may be dumb, right? Because it happened with me too. There are so many things that I didn't think about prior to having my wife. Like, she didn't make me think about it. It's just things came up as I got older. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, I never even thought that was a thing. And then now I think about it, and now I have to choose like what side of, you know what I mean? Like, now it's like, oh, what side of that am I on? Am I on this side or that side? You know? So a lot of times that happens in a relationship, and it basically, you start to, from the man's perspective, you start to present all of these red flags to women who didn't see it before, because you didn't even know they were there. A lot of times you didn't even know they were there, right? Like you may get into a relationship with a woman and be like you don't really care how she dresses when you meet her. And when I'm saying, like, when you met her at the bar, you met her at a party, she had on a cocktail dress, it was short, it was whatever, you didn't even think about it, right? You were just like, she looks good, get with her or whatever. When you guys go out though, she may not dress like that. Like, all, you know what I mean? Like, she may not dress like that. She she's wearing jeans. She has different styles or whatever. It happens all the time. But then she may adjust her style. She may change a little bit. She may start to be more, show more skin or whatever the case may be. This happens. This is not something that this man thought about consciously before, right? Especially when you're talking about like younger men, like they don't have much experience, if any. So now they see this woman who they've been with, not, now she's dressing differently. And that misogyny that's in them, now it's awoken. Now it triggers something in them. Now they're like, oh man, like I don't like that or whatever. And then they don't, like she was saying, now instead of them having a conversation about it, they don't know how to communicate. So they try to do the like, oh, I don't like you wearing that, or you know what I mean? Or they come at her wrong or whatever the case may be. And then it blows up into this larger situation than it needed to be. It should have never been a problem, right? But I'm not here to judge anybody. If you don't like, certain, your mate in certain things or whatever, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna be like, how dare you say what, like, I don't care. Like, I don't care how my wife dresses, but if you care, then that's fine. But the problem isn't even that you care about how they dress so much, it's how you articulated it, right? Because of your lack of emotional, of EQ and your lack of communication skills. And that's how it goes for a lot of this stuff, right? That's how it goes for a lot of this stuff.
Decided that a cat is better than dealing with a boy. Well, ladies, let's talk about it and give them the answers here today. Relationship standards have been raised slightly, yes, but not in the way that boys complain about them. We expect boys to have greater skills, but what are these skills? These skills are things like better communication, empathy, understanding, emotionally available, and sharing our values. Sharing our values brings up another great point. More young women now are trending more to the left than before, and men aren't following the pattern quite as heavily as women. And yes, we can be kind and get along with people on the right. That's not the issue. I have some mutuals that lean towards the right. When it comes to a lifelong partner, women really do want someone who shares those core values and basic human beliefs, which means that these divides not keeping up with each other are going to have a greater impact on dating. I also really love the points that this article brought up. There is a huge double standard when it comes to dating choices and safety. The burden of choosing the right partner feels like it always falls on the girls. But then we're always being yelled at and told to give a guy a chance regardless of whether we're attracted to that man. But then if we get into an unsafe relationship, the women are blamed for choosing the wrong man and just letting any man have a chance. So we're supposed to choose the right partner, and we're told to give everybody a chance, but don't just be giving everybody a chance. But if you don't give everybody a chance, then you're just being too picky. But also, if you're not picky enough, then it's your fault for choosing that man. Yeah, no wonder most women are just opting out of the song and dance.
They tell women to raise their standards, right? They tell women to choose better. Women go, okay, then the women raise their standards. Then when the women raise their standards, the men go, oh, you women are delusional. Like, what? It's crazy.
A lot of men, for some reason, simply lack empathy or don't have great social skills. And we're not here to parent you into learning those things anymore. Again, the way men have treated women has just burnt us all out from dating. All of these double standards are exhausting to deal with. And then a big one I hear all the time, many women feel like men just don't actually even like women. Even the way a lot of boys treat us and talk about us and behave and scrutinize and pick us apart. It's like, do you even like us? Okay, because at the end of the day, then you complain that you don't have a girl. But it doesn't even seem like you really like them. And for that cherry on top, study after study after study are coming out saying that women are just happier being single nowadays. So it's really not like boys are competing with the top 10% of men. You're competing with our happiness, our peace, our quiet time, our joy. It's like I always explain to my family when they ask, it's so hard for me to date because I am like genuinely very happy all alone. So when I actually find a man, not only do I have to find one that doesn't add more stress into my life, but you have to somehow bring more joy to it as well, as I would hope that I bring them as well. I like to believe I bring my partner a lot of joy in life.
So that makes perfect sense to me, right? Listening to what she said, are we starting to get a clearer picture now, fellas? She said that men have to compete with women's peace, right? We've heard that before, but she, kind of laid that out. Let's actually get into like what is going on out here, though, like what women really mean when they say that.
Do you know women's cortisol levels drop 35% when they've been living by themselves for 3 months or longer? This is done by research by Joe Dispenza, and I can tell you, like, after being in partnership and living with men for so many years now, and now living on my own in my own apartment, I have never felt peace like this in my life. And this is not a slander against men or anything. I'm just telling you, the peace that I feel right now is unmatched. I feel like I can think. I feel like when I'm out in public, I'm more relaxed. I'm walking more confidently. I'm walking slower. I feel clearer about what I want to do with my future. I know what I need to do with my day. I can work longer hours because I'm not so stressed out and caught up in somebody else's mood and what somebody else expects of me. I don't feel like I'm not enough. And that's always how I feel in partnership with a man, especially when I'm living with him. I never feel like I can fully relax at home. I love to cry for no reason. Like, I just cry on a regular basis, and not because I'm sad, but just because I enjoy it. And so, like, I like to be able to do that when I'm home. And I realize when I cry more often, I'm more in touch with my feelings, and I let myself just laugh and whatever. Like, I don't feel as emotionally constipated like I do in a partnership. And I feel like then when I'm in public, I'm a lot more emotionally regulated and happy and light. Sure, was there an initial detox? Like, I felt super anxious the first day or day and a half, and I cried a lot. It's like adjusting to be on your own again. But I swear that like third or fourth day, I was like, oh my God, the clouds have cleared. Like, I'm not angry all the time anymore. Like, as you've seen on my other content, like being angry, like I forgave the guy that cheated on me. I don't care anymore. I'm moving upward and onward. Like, I feel so good. It's just, I just think women have been sold this lie that we need men and men make us happier, because you cannot contest the way that you feel when you're by yourself as a.
And I just want to say something real quick, that this woman, right? That this woman and these
woman who knows what she wants.
This woman and these
single is over. I'm 42, and that means half of my life is over.
They can be the same woman to a certain extent. Hear me out. What I'm saying is like I've been saying this whole time, this woman who is like, yeah, like I'm so much more happy and free being single. Yeah, I 100% believe that. But so do these women, though. They feel like that too, because if they didn't, like I said initially about them, they would just be with any old Joe Schmo. If it was just about being with the man, they would just be with the man. But they would rather be single than be with a bad man, because being with a bad man makes you feel like this woman.
And it feels just euphoric. And the last time I was by myself, it was after another breakup, and I was traveling around the world. And I equated it to just, living off my savings and traveling and, not having any obligations or being in Thailand. But I think it was just being alone. That's why I was so happy. And what's crazy too is when I was in a relationship before, like I would always be thinking like, oh, I need to go do social stuff. I like this obligation, like, okay, I need to go make friends. Now I don't care. Like I feel so happy just not doing anything and going and doing stuff on my own. And I'm naturally wanting to just go to, I went to a Zumba class today and saw a girl I hadn't seen him forever. And we're like, oh, let's meet up and whatever. Like things just happen more naturally. They're not as forced. And I don't feel this constant rumination in my head that I felt when I was living with a partner. And if
listening to that from my perspective as a man, it doesn't make me like sad necessarily. It does make me sad, like for women that men are putting women through that, definitely. But like, as the man that's doing it, doesn't make me sad. It makes me like, I'm disappointed. That's the feeling I get listening to that. I'm like, damn, like, man, we got a lot of growing up to do. You know what I mean? But I know most men are going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, I don't know, not all men and not me and and like, but it's probably you, bro. Like you're not, like, men have to get out of this mindset that we are like God's gift to women. And, it's really not that. It's like the opposite, to be honest with you at this point.
The happiest people are single women and married men. They're the two happiest groups of people always.
Single women
and married men
are the happiest.
But the happiest groups of people, like not married women. Married women like end up doing all the jobs and, married women aren't happier than single women. Single women are happier than married women. And married men are really happy because they get everything done for them.
She ain't lying. And that's exactly why in this day and age, men are way more interested in marriage than women are. Exactly. That's exactly why it is right there. Men are happier in marriages and women are not. Women are less happy the closer that they are to men. That's just the reality. And last but not least, I saved this one for because this story is great. This is gonna wrap everything up perfectly in a bow. Listen to how this woman breaks down her last relationship and why she left it. It's gonna tie everything together perfectly. Exactly why women are just like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. This doesn't, there's no need for me to even try anymore. She's not going to not try, but I'm saying like with that person, there's no need for me to keep trying. Like, this is crazy.
I was in a relationship with a guy for about 48 hours, and then I decided to break up with him because he got us tickets to go see a Commanders game. And on the way to the stadium, he turned to me and said, by the way, this is your Christmas gift. And I don't.
That is that. I've said it before. It's that video of, or that it's that clip from The Simpsons when Homer bought Marge the bowling ball. If you guys remember that.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy 34th birthday, Mrs. Homer Simpson. Happy birthday to you.
Hey, don't worry. This frosting will come right off. Beauty, isn't she?
Well, it's hard for me to judge since I've never bowled in my life.
Well, if you don't want it, I know someone who does.
I don't like sports. So suddenly I felt very conflicting emotions. I felt very grateful and appreciative that he had planned this wonderful date for us, which represented a new experience that I wouldn't have sought out on my own, while simultaneously feeling disappointed that my Christmas gift the first one I would receive from my new boyfriend was something that did not reflect any genuine interest that I had. Okay. I looked into my future and I saw myself receiving an egg apron for my birthday when all I wanted to do was go to Greece. Now you might see this and think to yourself, well, Caitlin, he was probably just joking. No, I don't think he was. And here's why I don't think he was joking. On our second date, he turned to me and said, hey, let's play a game. I'm thinking, he's not going to make me pay for this date. He booked us the reservation at this nice place. However, he kept emphasizing, hey, don't worry, I'm not going to order any drinks at the restaurant because I don't want to rack up the bill. So I kind of began to realize, oh, I'm paying for this. Then when the check did come, I did pay for it. I did drop over $300 on a date with this guy. He was serious. So that leads me to believe that he was serious when he said that Commanders game, that was my Christmas gift.
Brokey. He was a brokey. That's why he did that. That's why he did that. That was one reason. Also, to me, when I hear that, it just sounds like he was seeing like what he could like get away with. He was like testing her, like, oh, she's stupid, or I can manipulate her, she's malleable, whatever it was, right? That's what it seems like.
And it's confusing to be in that situation because the seats he got us at the game were really good. It was a fun day. I was extremely appreciative that he had went through the effort and spent the money to give me that experience, but it painted it in a very different light, finding out that it was my Christmas gift, because it was like, oh, he saw this, thought it would be a cool thing to do, and then tried to figure out how he could justify the expense to himself and said, Christmas gift.
And here's the thing. This is what I'm saying. I don't know how much money this dude's make. This guy makes. She's going to talk about it later on, but I don't know how much money she makes or he makes. But the point is that when the women talk about getting with men who have a lot of money, or I'm sorry, when men talk about the fact that women want men with a lot of money, a instant pushback that I have to that is, I don't think that that's the case, because you can have all the money in the world, but are you generous? Or are you Derek Jeter? Are you like making gift baskets, and you know what I'm saying? Like after you sleep with them, you just make them a gift basket and then you drop them off at their apartment or their house or whatever. Like, you're not really generous. Like men aren't, there's a lot of men who aren't generous. This dude isn't generous. Also, you can be generous and not be considerate, right? Like you could buy your woman a bunch of stuff that she doesn't want. So you're not really being considerate. You're generous, but then you're not considerate. So it has to be all encompassing. You know what I mean? Like for it to be effective. That's the thing. And men we're not like processing any of this properly. We're pivoting, or we're deflecting to like women just want men with money, or, whatever the case may be. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. That's why you'll hear women say, I'll take a generous man over a man with money any day, right? Like just so like a man with money, I don't know if he's generous or not, or I know a man that's generous with his money, I'll take the generous man, right?
That's how, despite the fact this wouldn't make sense for me as a Christmas gift if it was just a standalone thing. I really liked this guy. I could see myself falling for him. I felt walking behind him and would let the door close in my face. Now I did flag that for him. I said, hey, I really feel invisible when you do that. That's a really bad feeling. I don't like that. Could you please make sure you hold the door open for me in those moments? And he fixed it. But
I remember recently talking about, like chivalry or whatever. I don't consider that to be chivalrous. I'm sure it is by definition, I guess, to some extent. But like I was saying chivalry is stupid, right? To be honest with you, it is dumb. But that doesn't replace chivalry with human decency, because why the fuck are you letting the door close on anybody that's walking right behind you? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if you're his woman or if you're a 300-pound bodybuilder dude walking by. It doesn't matter. Keep the damn door. Hey man, here you go. Like, just push it open wide, like something. Don't fucking just let the door close in a person's face. That is just a total you're just totally disregarding like the people that are coming behind you. Like you just don't give a fuck about people at all. It's little stuff like that would paint a larger picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I'm not really down for the like performance of chivalry, but like I said, as long as you're like doing bare minimum shit, like not letting doors close in people's faces, perfectly fine.
The number of crucial conversations that I would have to have with someone who I had really only known for about 2.5 weeks, we moved way too quickly, felt disproportionate. It just was like, I don't know if I need this. I don't know if it's worth it for me to go through the effort to explain the nuances, but the level of effort it would take to get this person to care about you, like they might not ever be able.
Also, you're like, you're just like at the point to where you're just like, they should already be there. There are certain markers that you're expecting people to have already hit if they're at a certain time, you know, certain age or whatever in their life, right? But also, what she said goes back to our original point, how the older women were like, yeah, I don't like, it's hard for me to find a man. This is why, because this dude that she's talking about is 40 fucking years old. It's not that the problem isn't that women hit the wall, right? The problem is men never hit it. Men never get, and I mean that, and I don't mean it in the way that people talk about the wall, but men never actually reach their full potential, right? For them to ever descend. Like we can never descend because we never ascend. We never get to this place to where it's like, now it's all downhill. It's not like that. It's always uphill for us. Our life is always uphill. We never get to we never reach the wall, man. Like if women hit the wall, fine. That just means they've actually just realized their full potential, right? And then you're saying like from here on out, it's all downhill. Fine. Men never reach the fucking wall. We need to hit the wall. About men that is totally whack, because in one breath, men are like, we hate boss babes. She's a proverbial boss babe, quote unquote, right? We hate boss babes. But then on the flip side, y'all don't have enough money to take care of women. So like, what the fuck? You just don't want, the thing that they hate about boss babes ain't the money that they make. It's the fact that they won't let men walk all over them. That's the problem.
To be a provider, not just on the metro to a football stadium, that, hey, by the way, this is your Christmas gift. When you don't know the person that well, but you know them well enough to know that I'm obviously not a sports fan.
Oh man, she was clocking a lot of shit. It's just taking a while for her to put all the pieces together. She was going to end up in an abusive relationship with this. Like, this dude was going to abuse her for sure.
I was falling in love with him, but I just don't think he is. I felt frequently a lot of inner conflict or tension, and it hadn't been long enough for me to.
There you have it. That sounds like pretty. All that stuff makes sense. If you follow it from beginning to end, you can actually get a clear picture of some of the bigger problems that women are, needing to be addressed, right? Like men need to address these issues, but it's just such a disconnect, right? If you listen to the beginning of the video to now, you heard what the men were saying, talking about women want a BBL and all that. Like, you can just tell the men are just grasping at straws, trying to discombobulate women and throw women off, right? Also, they don't have to actually confront these types of issues, right? Like men don't want to have to confront these demons that reside in us. That's all it is. So we're saying, oh, well, women hey man, they just got unrealistic standards, and they just got like that's how we're doing it, right? Like they just want to run up their body count. They got BBLs, and then like, listen to the men. Like every single time when I do these videos, I promise y'all, if you listen to what the men are saying versus what the women are saying, it is not comparable. The women are so insightful. And it's so very direct. Like if I were a single man and I was interested in dating a woman, I would literally just listen to what these women were saying. I would just literally listen to what all these women are saying, like listen to what they're saying. And then I would work on it. I would just work on those things. It would be like playing a sport. If I play wide receiver, I would just listen to what my coaches were saying were my weaknesses. And then I would just develop my like, they would just be like, yeah, you got to get better with your feet, and you got to get better with your hands, and you got to get out of your brace faster. Bet. And I would just go fucking watch film and I would go train my ass off. And that's where, and I would improve in those areas. Like, this shit's not fucking hard. You guys have to pour into this the same way you pour into sports, the same way you pour into video games or whatever little fucking hobbies we have as men, right? Playing poker, playing pool, whatever the fuck it is. You pour yourself into all this other bullshit, but you won't pour yourself into being a better person. That is the disconnect.